I figured I could have just written this, but it's 2019 and nobody really reads anymore. So I thought I'd just do something quick and a little more contemporary. So I've been a medical administrator for 20 years, and thought I'd just give you some parting thoughts on that whole dynamic. I went, I think, 13 years without any formal training at all in leadership. I learned it all on the fly, and I'd say I was fortunate in that I had 2 or 3 people that I've worked for who were fabulous positive examples of how to do it well, and I've had 2 or 3 people who were excellent negative examples about how to do it badly. I've been a medical director of at least 3 different areas. I've been a CMO, I've been a service line leader. I've had all kinds of interesting jobs over the course of the years, and I think I'll just tell you a little bit about that. One of the nice things about this format is that you can cut me off at any moment, and I'll actually know exactly where I lost you because of the analytics on YouTube. But I'll try to keep this snappy because I know you're busy people. And I'm going to talk about being a physician administrator. I'm going to talk about this from my experiences as a physician. So you don't have to be a physician to watch this, but that's what I'm talking about. So right now I've got a role that includes Chief Medical Officer, and I have an advanced degree. It's a Master's in Health Informatics. I long ago decided I didn't want an MBA, and I think that the title is handy. It's a bit of a shorthand that other people can use to understand what sort of access you have and probably what sort of basis you're coming from without having met you yet. The degree is helpful because it gives you terminology and tools that can be used in your day-to-day work, but neither of these is the essence of the leader role. The leader role is all about the relationship that you have with other people, with your colleagues, with your organization, with the people that report to you. And it's very important that you recognize that leadership is about the relationship. It is not about the title. Because you're a physician leader, your primary relationship is always going to be based around the fact that you are a physician. And that doesn't even necessarily mean if you practice or not. If you practice, I think it's handy in maintaining that physician role, but I don't think it's necessarily completely required. But if people consider you to be just another suit and not a physician, then why do they need you? They can just go to a suit. I want to show you something on the front of my phone. I hope you can read that. It says intention, behavior, impact. So why is that on the front of my phone? It's been on the front of my phone since 2013. The reason being that I had kind of lost track of this dynamic, and seeing this written down really brought it home to me. You have an intention to create a particular impact. The problem is that the people around you cannot see your intention. They can only see your behavior. So your impact on the organization or on other people is based on your behavior, not on your intention. Physicians get a lot of leeway from the public on what they are allowed to do, and in response for that, the behavior expectations of physicians are higher than they are for non-physicians. The problem is that physicians do what other people do. They bring their home life to work. They get sleepy or tired. They get snappish. They get waked up in the middle of the night and say something they wish they had not said. And every medical administrator ever has managed the question of the intention, behavior, impact of physician behavior. So that means that you wind up speaking to physicians who oftentimes are senior to you, who are older, who are in a position of greater authority, and you have to manage this dynamic. And your best weapon in managing that dynamic is to pay scrupulous attention to this yourself. You need to understand how your behavior creates an impact so that you can use that dynamic when talking to other physicians whose behavior has left an impact that they did not actually intend. If an average healthcare worker works around 45 years, i.e. from 20 to 65, then we've got about 15,000 accumulated lifetimes of work that has gone into producing the organization that we work for today. So when you know that, you realize that any contribution you make is going to be incremental on that, and even if you are the most accomplished and influential individual in the history of the organization, you're likely to wind up as the equivalent of one of those black photographs on the wall near the medical staff office, i.e. in 100 years, most people aren't going to remember your name. So what's important to realize is that this is about the organization and not about you. So why do I bring that up? Well, there are just so many implications about the fact that this is about the organization and not about any one individual, because the organization outlives us all. I only really have time to talk about one of those, so the one I'm going to talk about is the question of confidential information. And I'm not talking about HIPAA. I'm not talking about peer review. Those are almost a given. I mean business information, new things that are happening, stuff that's going on out there on the streets, programs that we're implementing, information that you really at the moment know about but can't share. There's two ways to look at that. If it's about the organization, then access to confidential information is a duty, and your duty to your organization and to your team is to keep that information confidential until you don't have to. And when you can share it, you should share it as soon as you can with everyone who needs to know it, so that they can function best in their role of contributing to the organization. If it's really all about you, then for you, confidential information is a source of your power, and your role is to keep that confidential information confidential as long as you can, because if you own it and no one else does, you have an advantage over them. My point being that the best people I have ever worked with treated confidential information in method number 1, and the worst people I ever worked with treated it as number 2. All I have to say. I've never met anyone who was willing to watch me talk for more than 5 consecutive minutes, and here we are at almost 9, and I had a lot of other things to talk about, but I just don't have time, so we need to cut this off now. I do really appreciate the fact that you have been here for me for the last 20 years to help me prevent my frequent and repeated mistakes from causing lasting harm to any individual or to the organization. I do appreciate all the fellowship, if you will, and all of the collegial relationships that I've enjoyed over that time. If there's anything else you want me to talk about, I'm always willing to share my closely held and poorly considered opinions with you. Just leave me a comment down below or drop me a note. Maybe we'll have coffee. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Have a great day.